Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon. Hello, hello. And welcome back to the Rebounding Revolution. This is Teresa Corcoran, your host, airing live from Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm just excited to be here with you. This is our third day airing this show, and this is just an awesome opportunity to come together to share the experience of recovering from a setback or a loss or a failure of some kind. This is something that I've really felt led to and to talk about. It's just something that I see all around me every day and something that I've personally been experiencing for some time now, and it's just an exciting opportunity to kind of explore the topics around this and to come together in that and to feel like we're part of a greater whole. We're not alone with our process. So today it's a bright sunny day here in Raleigh. It's 98 degrees, and I actually just got some great news from a friend that she was expecting, and it's amazing how, watching people go through the different seasons in their life, and it really juxtaposes so well with the topic that I had on hand for today. Just to be able to really be where you're at and to acknowledge that our life has seasons in it. It has phases, and we can't always know what's right around the corner, and why it's so important to stay open to things. So one of the things that really led me to this show, and if you have just recently tuned in or haven't listened to the last two episodes or to the first episode, I'm going to take this opportunity just for a moment and just share with you how I got here. Rebounding Revolution really started with a book. Well, even more importantly, started with a journal exercise. I guess it was 2008, and I experienced the loss of a business. And it was putting a huge financial strain on my entire life, stress on my marriage, really causing my health to suffer, the stress from those circumstances, the grieving process in those circumstances really had a variety of different impacts on my life and effects. And I really started, taking the time to use journaling as an opportunity to explore my feelings and really just keep myself sane during that time. So at the time, we lived across the street from a park in Raleigh, and I would take the time every morning to walk in the morning, and then I would come home after finding a lot of solace just being in nature, finding comfort in that space. And during this time, I was literally selling off my business space and my business part for part, and, having to disappoint a lot of people, really just a lot of things going on around me that were very difficult on a daily basis, a lot of logistics to weed through. And, facing those things and dealing with those disappointments inside your own heart at the same time, those are really difficult things to do. So I found a lot of comfort in taking some time out in the morning. And so I would come back to the house, and I started writing in my journal, really just to keep my peace of mind and to, like I said, stay sane and keep myself really out of kind of chasing my own tail in a state of depression. And so I, took some time to do that for a few months, and then, we kept in the news, it just was like over and over, just job loss and, retirement monies getting compromised, and just a lot of loss going on in our economy, a lot of loss going on in our country in general. And I realized after listening to some people's stories that there were really, staggering amounts of loss, staggering levels of the same kinds of feelings that I had about my failure going on in the people around me as well. And I wondered if maybe the kind of writing that I was doing would be of some use or some kind of help to the people around me. And so I guess that was the 2009, spring of 2009, and so I started taking those journal entries and changed them into really more of a story, self-help format, so that other people could maybe draw from my experiences and maybe feel a little sense of hope and give them some practical tools and mindsets, some skill sets for turning the next corner and creating a new chapter. And that book, a year later, turned into Rebounding, a practical guide for getting up and getting over it. And it is available on Amazon.com in its current format and BarnesandNoble.com online. You can also go to my website, which is www.360degreeinspiredsuccess.com. You can also plug in that same website page, /rebounding, and arrive at a page about this show today, and there's an opt-in opportunity there if you'd like to be sent some daily inspiration. But the book is available, and there's actually a second edition of that book coming out in September. And the reason for that is I felt really called to pull some more of my foundational spiritual pieces into that book. A lot of what I talk about in there is centering yourself in resiliency, really being able to dig deep and find those parts of yourself that can rise to those challenges that you're facing. And, how is it that you're able to dig deep? And really just realizing that my faith, being able to come back to God at the end and, the beginning of every day is really just so critical, so mission critical to me. And I really hadn't integrated that in that first edition of the book. So the second edition, really offers an opportunity to explore that a little more closely, and it really is a very important part of how I've lived my life, how I continue to live my life, and really how it's shaping this rebounding in my own life. Now at this point in my life, I've gone through 2 divorces. I suffered, and recovered from some serious impacts on my health as a result of the stress of the loss of that business, the following resulting bankruptcy that came out of that, the stress that led to the loss of that second marriage, especially in the aftermath of that. And so here I am, 2 years from the time that first book came out, and honestly, I'm still rebounding myself. Every day is an opportunity to say, okay, this is a new chapter. What do I want to write in this new chapter? I mean, literally and figuratively in my life, what do I want this new chapter to look like? And taking that opportunity to choose, to not only, bring to a more conscious level, a mindful level, what choices are available, but to recognize that every single choice that I make matters. Every choice down to, what I'm eating for breakfast, how I feel my body, what kind of rest I give my body, self-care as a part of this process being so, so important. One of the things that I see when people are going through a loss or a grieving process is that a lot of times that their own health and well-being is kind of put on a side burner, and they're under so much stress that they turn to food or alcohol or checking out in front of the TV or just an overall sluggishness or kind of sinking into that depressed state as an escape from some of the feelings. And suffice it to say that the grieving process, recovery process is entirely personal. It's one of the things that we've talked about on the previous 2 shows, and nobody can know exactly where you're at. Nobody is walking in your shoes except you. And so only you know ultimately what it is that you need as you walk through this, and you really have to listen. Yesterday we talked about stopping, looking, and listening. listening for clues as to what is it that you need to create this next chapter, and are you going to give yourself the ability to not only stop, look, and listen, but then to take action on those things that you do listen and you do find, you do hear. But one of the things that, is so important on that is to see those choices that we're making in our self-care process and to own the responsibility for those choices. One of the things that, two diagrams that I put, if you go to the Blog Talk Radio, show page, there's two diagrams there. One is the up cycle diagram and one is the down cycle diagram. And, both of them work, it's kind of a spiral. And so I think we've all experienced both of these in one way, shape, or form. But it's kind of that concept that, we've experienced it when we wake up on the wrong side of the bed, for example. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you feel really grumpy and you feel lousy about the day and, oops, you stub your toe on the bedpost, and that just confirms it. It's a crappy day. And then sure enough, you get down to breakfast, and because you're already grumpy and irritable, your kids are grumpy and irritable, and they bring up things that you don't want to talk about, and everybody's just kind of disgruntled, and then boom, you go off to work, you get in the car, and sure as you know it, it's a traffic jam. And so it's just another affirmation that it's a crummy day. And, that's an example of participating in the down cycle. It's a small microcosm of, a cycle that really is, we have a choice to participate in, either the up cycle or the down cycle every day. We can choose to look for things that are good, to look at things that are good, and expect things that are good, and then, lo and behold, find more things that are good, more reasons to feel good. Or we can do the opposite. We can look for the things that aren't as good, the reasons to not feel as good, and we can expect to not feel good, and then, lo and behold, we find things to not feel good about. So I think it's really important to recognize that these two cycles, these two choices exist, whether or not we recognize we're participating in one of them all the time. God gave us free will, and those are exactly the choices that are laid out in front of us. And it goes beyond just being a glass is half empty or a glass is half full person. That's kind of a glib way of glossing over it. But the fact of the matter is that with those choices, we're actually creating our experience. We're creating our life one choice at a time. So it's more than just what do we choose to see. It's literally comes down to what are we creating. If we don't like what we're experiencing, we need to create something different. Well, guess what? We all have that ability. If we feel like a victim of circumstance and, so-and-so did this to me and this is why we ended up divorced, it's all her fault, this is why I lost my business, the economy, this and that, and, and my partner, this and that, and whatever. These are the circumstances that caused me to feel victimized financially, and it led me here. And we just react to that feeling of victimization, to that negative feeling, and expect more of that. That's exactly what we're going to get. We're going to get more reasons to feel bad, more reasons to feel like a victim. But I hate to tell you, there's another choice. And, we can choose to look at those experiences that we're rebounding from, those challenges, and look at them as reasons to, carry forward lessons. Maybe there's some things in those circumstances that we couldn't have gotten any other way. Maybe there's some learning lessons. Maybe there's some perspectives. Maybe there were some tools or skill sets or mindsets. Maybe we had to hit rock bottom with our health so that we could pay attention to it. So many people, health challenges especially, we take our health for granted. It's one of the last things we think about, which is why, so many people, boom, hit that brick wall in their 50s. They have that heart attack scare, or they have that, that mini stroke or whatever it is, or maybe it's a family member having a health experience, and then, oh my goodness, I guess I need to pay attention to this. Why is it that so many people have to hit the wall before they take action to take care of their health? But maybe there's a reason that health challenge was brought into your life a little sooner, to deliver a message, to deliver an opportunity. And if we choose to see that as an opportunity, then it offers us another positive choice. Then we have a choice, well, what do we do with that? Is it hope and inspiration that we can give to people around us? Maybe we're being offered an opportunity to lead by example. We've seen a lot of people suffer health challenges, and they hit the wall. Their back is kind of pushed into the must corner, the corner in which they must respond with something different than they've done before. And then they start to take ownership. They start to make some changes. I think we've all seen people come back or trying to rebound from a health scare, and then all of a sudden, start to eat better, start to think about exercise, and they start to examine their choices differently. And them taking an active role and responsibility in their health inspires the people in their family to kind of do the same, to create some change just by being a role model for change. It's really, really powerful, taking action. And one positive action can lead to another positive action, can lead to another good feeling. We do something good for ourselves, and we feel good about it. And because we feel good about it, it makes us want to do something else that's good for us. And we feel good about that, and it leads to another positive choice. That's the upcycle. That's available to us. Regardless of our circumstances, I can honestly say regardless of any external circumstance, it's available to you today. The down cycle is also available to you today. We do something lousy that makes us feel bad. We eat a bag of potato chips because we want to drown our sorrow. We feel guilty about eating a bag of potato chips. Maybe even physically we feel ill. We feel bad about that, and so we stay up too late at night, drown ourselves in TV for 6 hours. We drag ourselves to bed after barely falling asleep, in the chair, and we wake up the next day and we feel groggy because we haven't gotten a good night's rest. We get on the scale and we find that we've gained a pound or two, and it's just a lousy feeling. We start out the day feeling lousy. That's the down cycle. One lousy choice leading to a lousy feeling, leading to another lousy choice, leading to a lousy feeling, and so on and so forth. And so you get the point. But the main thrust of what we're talking about today is that that's available to us. Those choices are available to us every day. And we have to begin with exactly where we're at. We have to begin exactly where we're at today. And the reason that's so important is just like, my friend finding out all of a sudden that she's expecting. We don't know what's coming around the corner. If we expect good things, though, the chances are we'll get better things coming around the corner. But, how many times, you recently had another friend, who worked for over a year to finish his book. And he really felt excited about it, but there were a lot of speed bumps and a lot of reasons for him to not do it, a lot of things that could have become obstacles to him, but he persevered and he followed through and he finished it. And, and it wasn't 2 months later that his mother suddenly took ill, found out that she had a life-threatening form of cancer, and 3 weeks later had died. And, being able to have shared that book with her was a really precious part of some of the last moments that they spent with together. Being able to celebrate that experience for him, she was so proud of him. To be able to see that her son had left that footprint, and she felt good about her life because of what he was able to create in his life. But, if he hadn't taken the time to persevere You know, you didn't know what was coming around the corner. But you don't know what's coming around the corner either, and no matter what challenge that you face, no matter what you're recovering from right now, you know, it's important to be right where you're at and to recognize that the choices, the external circumstances that you have in the face of those choices, whatever it is that's on your plate right in front of you right now, I guarantee you have everything you need inside of you to face it square on and make a positive choice. Make a choice to participate in the up cycle rather than the down cycle. I know you can do it because in the face of some of my most difficult challenges, you know, if you're able to go back to that place deepest inside of you and draw from that place of strength, and, you know, I don't know what your spiritual beliefs are, but if that involves, you know, relationship with God, it's one of the most inspiring places you can go back to because it's always there. It's unconditional, and it doesn't matter what's gone on in the past. Today is a new day. Every day is a new day. So I just encourage you to look into the framework of your life today. Look at the external circumstances, maybe even the internal environment. You know, are you participating every day in the up cycle? Are you participating in the down cycle? Are there chances, you know, that you have let slip by to take some action that might support a better place, might support your recovery even better? What would feel different if you were able to respond to your challenge, or respond to your failure in a better way? What kinds of obstacles do you need to remove from your path so that the up cycle is more of a reality? You know, sometimes we just interpret that we're trapped in the set of circumstances, and the reality of it is we're never trapped. There's always a different response that we can choose. So one of the points of this show, you know, Rebounding Revolution really speaks to being able to come full circle, being able to turn that corner entirely, round the corner into an entirely new chapter and really embrace the opportunities there. And I have to tell you, you know, the first day we started, you know, with this new energy, and yesterday really talking about stopping and looking and listening and what opportunities that offers us. And today, you know, leaving and going into the weekend, as we take a little break, we'll be back on Monday at 4 o'clock. We have an opportunity to come together every day here at Rebounding Revolution, Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. But taking this chance as we go into the weekend and really see the opportunities that exist in front of us to make those choices. If I could do nothing else every day than to help people see that whether they are or whether they aren't making a decision, they're still making a decision, I would feel good about myself at the end of the day, because what I see so many people doing is walking unconsciously, walking as a victim of circumstance through their life, thinking that they don't have choices, feeling trapped in their circumstances. Well, I couldn't possibly do that because of this, and this. Well, no, I can't do that. You know, my dad used to say the can't worm. Because I hear more people use the word can't than probably any other word when I start to talk about looking outside of your circumstances. There's a million reasons people can come up with that they can't make a better choice. And a lot of that starts with the realization that they don't even recognize that they have choices. But today I just really encourage you to step out of that box. If that's what you've been doing to yourself, stop it. Because only you have the power to stop it. Choose something different. Look at the up cycle. Think about a choice that would make you feel good and start the ball rolling. Momentum is such a huge thing. We're going to talk a lot about momentum next week because it's a huge part of the rebounding process, you know, and being able to come out step out, just a tiny step at a time even, through the grieving process. But momentum is really huge, but it starts with one tiny choice. Now, maybe you've been having difficulty getting up in the morning. There's just a sluggishness that you've been feeling because you're disheartened. Maybe you're discouraged. And maybe that alarm, has gotten, the snooze button's gotten pushed over and over and over, and you're just not feeling good every day getting up in the morning. And maybe that one tiny choice is just to not push that snooze button that second time. Maybe that one tiny choice is just to get up a little bit less sluggishly and embrace the new day in front of you. And ask yourself a different set of questions. Ask yourself, what kinds of choices could I make today that would feel better? And, one of the things that psychologists talk so much about is, what's more powerful, what we think or what we feel? Is it head knowledge? Is it heart knowledge? What really takes the cake? And the reality of it is we can know all day long what isn't good for us, but if we still feel like doing it, we're going to err on the side of doing it because our feeling center, our emotional center, overrides our thinking center. So the trick is to start this ball rolling and to start to feel better, to start to feel good, and those feeling good choices start to add up, start to create energy of their own. You start the ball rolling and you actually get to the point where you start wanting to feel better all the time. And then when you resort back to the eating the bag of potato chips and sitting on the couch, that doesn't feel good at all anymore. And that's not even a choice that even sounds attractive because you get to the point where you just don't want to feel bad anymore. Again, I don't know your circumstances. I don't know what kind of setback or failure, what you're grieving through, and I'm not trying to minimize your process. This could be the hardest place you've ever been in your life. You could be listening from a space that's really dark right now. But I still come back to the same thing, just encourage you to look and realize that you have a choice and reach out for one tiny better choice today. One tiny better choice that creates a better feeling. Oh my goodness, I just noticed the time and it's 4:27, 4:28, and I guess it's time to wrap up our half an hour today. But I just want to say thank you for joining us at the Rebounding Revolution. Again, this is Teresa Corcoran, hosting from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm just so excited and so grateful to be on this journey with you. And whatever it is that you're turning a new corner from, just know that you're not alone. We're in it together. And as we go through this show, we're going to have an opportunity to share stories. I'm going to start opening up the lines as we get more listeners. Probably starting the week after next, and we'll have an opportunity to really gain some strength from realizing that we aren't alone, and there are people going through health challenges just like you. There are people going through recovering from divorce, from relationship losses, just like you. There are people suffering from bankruptcy losses, from financial failures, just like you. There are people suffering from all kinds of different losses, and it's important that we come together and share the energy of recovery as we make just one tiny choice every day that leads to a better feeling place. So thank you so much, and I hope as you go into your weekend that you have a blessed and peaceful weekend, and whatever it is that encourages you to go back to that deepest place inside where you can find that strength and that resiliency. I just encourage you to bring that to the table this weekend, and not just this weekend, but as you rebound into next week. And I look forward to joining you again on Monday at 4 o'clock Eastern, and where we can explore the concept of momentum next week. So thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll talk next week.